Whoa, what's happening, people? Guess what? I'm jacked. I'm totally jacked because it's what? Guess. Draft week. Everybody in their mother, brother, next door neighbors got mocks flying around. Everyone on the planet says, we're doing this, we're doing that. Everybody's fighting, hugging, kissing. It's a week where it's like euphoria. What's that old Ghostbusters thing? Cats and dogs living together, fire and brimstone. That's what this week is all about. It's absolutely craziness. We got a great show for you. As always, we'd like to thank the sponsor, Astroflave. They're good to us, so please support them. You need collagen, you need weight loss, you need protein, you need amino acids. They'll ship it right to your house. They do have 5 stores in New Jersey, but of course, astroflave.com is the best way to get it. If you're trying to lose weight, like me, as an old broken athlete, I use it as meal replacement. So check out astroflave.com. We love those cats over there. They always support us. And of course, we were live from the Isaiah Hodgins camp this past weekend, and Astroflave was on site giving away tons of tubs of protein. So bang, cheers to Astroflave. Great show. Brian Rascona from WFAN is here. We all know WFAN is the hub of sports in the region. So, and I'm sure every single one of you has listened to the fan at some point. So Brian and I have gotten kind of friendly over the last year, and I've been trying to get him on here to, give us a little bit of what the heartbeat of Giants fans are thinking and saying, what they're calling in about. And of course, I got Truth and I got Chris. I'm going to bring these guys in now. I'm going to be bringing in Truth. Truth, what's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, Chris?
Well, you know what's going on. It's draft week. Why do you even have to ask me that question?
I know. We're only like about 72 hours away.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, Truth? It felt like it was so far away, right? When the season ended, and here we are. So we got a great show. Brian's here from WFAN. Let's get Chris in here. Chris.
Hey, Craig. Hey, Truth. Hey, guys.
What's going on, Chris?
You're not going to ask me a question like what's up or what are you doing or how you feeling, are you?
Slow week. We got a slow week coming up. Not much happening.
Exactly.
Right?
There's nothing to talk about, right? All right, guys. Look, I got Brian Rascona from WFAN. You guys have been asking me to get on someone from WFAN. I have come through, and what we love about Brian is he's a dude. Like he's a regular guy who's a Giants fan who's like texting me on the side, and we're having these conversations. And he holds a lot of different roles, wears a lot of hats at WFAN. So let's bring in Brian because Brian's never hung out with the Rush crew before. So he's going to be part of the family, I think, because he's going to like us. And then, of course, once you start hanging out with us, who else would you rather hang out with? Exactly.
They don't want to hang out with Nikki. They don't want to hang out with you.
What's up, guys? How you doing? Listen, just to start it off, thanks for having me. I mean, I've been, like Craig said, I've been going back and forth with him for about a year now, and we've been trying to work this out. And what better week than draft week, right? To have me on and let's talk a little Giants football. And what's not to like with all these guys that are Giants fans in one room? I mean, we have to like each other. We're all Giants fans. We have no choice, right?
Heck yeah. Yeah.
I never went out and had drinks with you guys yet, so I don't know. But for now, we're all Giants fans, and I love you.
Listen, well, we don't, careful what you ask for, Brian. I'll be like before the podcast's over. I'll be knocking on your front door with a 12-pack.
You do have my address because you sent me the hoodie, so you do have my address.
I do, and thanks for rocking that.
Of course.
So let's start off here because I was talking to Chris earlier today, and Brian, of course, because he does this every day for a living. He might already be familiar with some of this. But I'm going to read you a list because Chris said to me a half hour ago, and of course I'm scrambling. And I see all you guys loading in the room, so I'll give you a quick shout out. Hey, Cold, I see you, Kevin. I see you, Darius. I see Daniel. I see you guys. I see Joe. I see you guys rolling in. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Love you guys. You always support the Rush crew. All right, gentlemen. Half hour ago, Chris says to me, "Hey, Brian's coming on. Wouldn't it be cool if we knew who was drafted at the 25 spot over the last 10 years?" And then he pauses and he goes, "Yeah, it's probably too much work, so don't worry about it." Now, if you know me, I'm like, well, I got to find out who was drafted the last 10 years at 25. So I'm going to read a list, and you tell me if this is you're going to be shocked. This is who was picked in the draft, number 25 the last 10 years. Are you ready? In 2000, I'm going to start off with 2018 because I couldn't get 2021 fast enough for you, Chris. But in 2018, it was tight end Hayden Hurst out of South Carolina, went, of course, to the Ravens, right? 2017 was Jabril Peppers, who was, of course, a former Giant, got drafted, of course, by Cleveland. 2016 was Artie Burns, who was a cornerback for Miami, never really did that much. 2015 was Shaq Thompson, drafted out of Washington, who went to Carolina, was a good linebacker. 2014 cornerback Jason Verrett. He went to the Chargers, but he tore his Achilles, so he didn't really have much of a career. Okay, here's where the nice run was. 2013, Xavier Rhodes, out of Florida State, drafted by the Vikings, was a Pro Bowler multi-time. 2012, linebacker Dante Hightower, of course, from Alabama, Pro Bowler, multi-time Pro Bowler. 2011, James Carpenter out of Alabama, O-lineman, never really did that much. 2010, ready? Tim Tebow, drafted at number 25, of course, the Broncos. 2009, Vontae Davis, multi-time Pro Bowler for the Dolphins. 2008, cornerback Mike Jenkins from Florida, from Dallas, tore his Achilles, never really had a career. 2007, ready? Another Giant, ready? John Beeson, drafted by, of course, out of Miami, went to the Panthers, had a great career, got hurt. Luke Kuechly took his spot and never looked back. He became a Giant. Last two, 2006, Santonio Holmes, Super Bowl MVP. And 2005, Jason Campbell. Why I find Jason Campbell so fun, and this is something for you, Brian, for your show, in case it comes up.
Right.
The pick after Aaron Rodgers was Jason Campbell.
How about that?
Yep.
And
so 2005.
I remember that draft. I was at that draft when Aaron Rodgers fell that low, and everybody was just probably wondering when he was going to go. And then he went late, and then Jason Campbell follows him. Okay.
Yeah, so we all know he went to Washington. He was a pick after. So that's your list, Chris. Since you asked me who got picked at 25, it's a Chris. Are you happy with that list? Like,
that's not a bad list. I mean, right, Brian? I mean, there's some good guys on there. There's a few, I would say duds, but yeah, Jason Campbell, right? But I for the most part, not bad.
I think the biggest one was Dante Hightower. I think obviously you see what he did in New England and how he just took that defensive over, and you know, he came out of Alabama. You know, a guy, anybody plays anywhere. If you're playing in Alabama and you're going to get drafted, you're obviously going to be a dynamic player. It's very few players are not, typically, unless you're a quarterback, right? I mean, the quarterbacks that can be coming out of Alabama recently haven't been great. But other than that, I mean, you get a position player like Dante Hightower and how he performed, absolutely. But just to fill in the blanks there, 2019 was Hollywood Brown at 25.
Thank you.
2020 was Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, okay.
2021, Travis Etienne, who, by the way, is on the uptick, I would say. And then number 25 was offensive lineman Tyler Linderbaum that Baltimore selected last year.
And
so we all know, truth, we've talked about this, that for the last 7 years, the pick 25 has been traded out of. And if you go through this number, I mean, it's 7 straight years of it being traded out of. 25 still turns in to be a good pick.
Yeah.
Or am I crazy? Right? I mean, there's some decent players on this list at 25.
I think when you look at the first round and every year at the NFL draft, I mean, you're going to have flops. It's just going to happen. There's too many players to be picked, obviously. But I mean, you look over NFL drafts from past years and you say, wow, he was picked in the second round. Wow, he was picked in the third round. I mean, I don't think we're discovering anything new here by saying what we're saying. But yes, the point is at pick 25, you could get a stellar player to fit your franchise and fit your club. Absolutely.
All right. Well, then this one's going to go right to you, Brian, because it makes me cry when I think about it. So maybe you can help me not jump off the roof.
We don't want Craig to cry.
No. Well, he's seen it before. It wouldn't be a first time.
Okay.
But I'm going to put this up here because
Deshaun Jackson punt return. You were crying.
yeah. I definitely cried multi-days on that.
Okay.
But drafting cornerbacks, Brian, listen, you got a lot of colleagues that are talking draft. You got a lot of Giants fans in the building or analysts that are talking about, the draft. You got Tiki in there. You got, Brandon. We've had Brandon on the show, last year.
Okay.
Like, corner is something the Giants need. It definitely is up there. Or even tell me as a fan, why do we suck at drafting corners? I mean, listen, the names off the top of my head read like this: Will Allen, Aaron Ross, Eli Apple, Prince Amukamara, and DeAndre Baker. Why do we suck at drafting corners?
I think the biggest two that stood out of those names were obviously DeAndre Baker and Eli Apple. Eli Apple came on. His mom got into the mix talking about him. I mean, it was a total disaster. He kind of somewhat refound himself out in New Orleans. But I think those two names, Eli Apple and DeAndre Baker, were the two largest flops. I mean, you look at Will Allen's career. He had a stellar career with the Giants coming out of Syracuse, right? I mean, he wasn't a complete flop. He played six, 7 years, and then he went out down to Miami.
He did well in Miami.
He did well in Miami after they made a Super Bowl appearance in 2001 against the Ravens. And I think he did well. He definitely did well in Miami. Another guy that I like too was Prince Amukamara. He just couldn't stay healthy. He just couldn't stay healthy. I think he was halfway decent. And actually, when he became healthy, he played better, and then he went and cashed in and went over to Chicago and played halfway decent with the Bears as well. So I think the two glaring names on that list, obviously DeAndre Baker and
Eli.
Eli Apple, obviously.
And Brian, just to go off your point with Will Allen, what drove you crazy as a Giants fan is that he dropped so many interceptions, or would have been interceptions. So he was a good cover guy, but he just, the hand just killed you.
Yeah, he couldn't pick the ball off. Yeah, well, that's why he's a corner, right? Isn't that the old joke? That's why he's a cornerback and not a wide receiver. But going back to the draft and drafting a corner. I mean, listen, Flott had a decent year. We picked him up off the Jets practice squad, but I think all of us know here in the same room that he's not the answer, right, at cornerback. The Giants definitely need to draft a cornerback. I don't know if they're doing that in the first round because the top two cornerbacks are probably going to be gone by then. They might have to pivot to a safety, which I want. I want a safety. I want a run-stopping safety because we lost Julian Love. I want somebody to complement Xavier McKinney. You disagree, Craig?
I only disagree, and I'll send this one over to you because you know how I feel about it, is that it's just not impactful enough. Right, you've got a 9-win team, and I love Love. I don't know why they didn't match the $6 million, but I'm not going to get the impact like this team. Well, let me step back for a second.
You want an impact player at 25? That's going to be tough to do.
Well, I want a player that comes in, and I don't mean like a guy that's going to score 10 touchdowns or have 150 tackles, but I also don't want a guy that just blends into the woodwork. Because it is a first-round draft pick, right? So this team, and truth, I mean, I think Michael and I agree that this team did win, right? They did win a bunch of games, including a playoff game. Going backwards, I don't know what option these they have. Like, do you win 6 games and it's okay? Like, you really need to plug a hole with a player, and if you give me a safety. Like, what are we talking about? You're going to pick up 50 tackles, right? But your other safety at 125. And what, does he get a pick or two? I mean, it would, I just don't see the value in a safety in a team that needs a corner or a wide receiver so badly. I can't see how it makes the team that much better. Like, where's the drop off between Belton, Pinnock, and a rookie? I don't see they could be equal. Go ahead, True, jump in.
Okay. It all depends how the first 24 picks go. If all the top corners are gone by that time, and it could happen, right?
Yeah, sure.
We're saying like the 4, right? That's the names I'm hearing, top 4.
Yep.
And if a certain guy falls who's considered a safety / corner, falls to them, now you're talking best player available as opposed to need. Be honest with you, we talked about this on our last show. If Brian Branch falls to them at 25 and let's just say the top wide receivers are gone, the top corners are gone. I just cannot see them going for a need if he's on that board.
Okay, let me ask you this then, Truth. At 25, Branch is there, which, to Brian's point, I know that's who you're thinking about, right, Brian? Branch?
Actually, I'm thinking about – I don't think Branch will be there. I'm thinking about Antonio Johnson, to be honest with you.
Well, he'll definitely be there. That's true, yeah.
So Antonio Johnson will be there. And just to quickly rebut Craig on what he wants the impact player, don't forget we were one of the worst rushing defenses in football last year. It wasn't completely on the defensive line. We need that run stopper that's going to come into the box and stop the run. I think a big safety can do that, and a guy like Johnson, who all he does is tackle. He doesn't have any picks. He really didn't have any picks last year with Texas A&M. But if you can get into the box and help stop the run, which is what we lacked last year, I think that's what the Giants need.
Would he be a reach at 25?
What's that?
Do you think he'll be a reach at 25?
I think he won't be there come 57 when the Giants got their next pick. So I believe the need is for that safety to help stop the run for that defense, and I'm willing to draft him a little earlier because I know he won't be there come 57. Or another run stopping safety that I really like.
I respect that, and I'm going to throw this out to all three of you, and you guys can all answer it however you'd like. But let's just go off whether let's say it's either one of the two safeties there. Let's say they're both there, but let's say for that argument, let's say Campbell's there, and let's say that what do you call it from Arkansas is there, Drew Sanders is there. If Sanders and Campbell and both safeties are there, to your point, Brian, the Giants got gashed. Giants got gashed by the run all year. Why not take one of the two best linebackers on the in the draft and put them up next to Okereke and literally stop it before the safety needs to come down in the box?
I'm not opposed to that either. I'm absolutely not opposed to that either.
You made Craig's day right there.
I think, and basically now that we've already gotten to the discussion, you guys know I want defense. I want defense on this football team. I want some more offensive linemen on this team as well. I'm not sold on Izudu. I want defense. I want offensive line. The hallmark of what makes the Giants the Giants. And if you heard me on WFAN, that's what makes the Giants, okay? Every year, we're going to beat you up in the trenches, and we're going to beat you up defensively. The finesse team of the Giants was 1 year, 2001, and we got waxed by the Ravens. That was the one finesse year. The anomaly of the Giant franchise in their existence was Kerry Collins hitting Ike Hilliard every 2 seconds, and Joe Jurevicius down the field. So and Amani Toomer, of course. But that was the anomaly of the Giants. I think the hallmark of when the Giants win, that's what they have to do.
And when we lost, it was because Jerry Reese got away from drafting linebackers and linemen.
Well, he picked poorly with the linemen. They couldn't go beyond the
it was a high ceiling, right? I mean, it was a big bust rate, but a high ceiling, and he rolled the dice on a lot of these guys.
He was a big believer in drafting talent over needs. I'm not so sure Joe Shane operates that way, or Dayball for that matter. I think they have confidence in what they do. I think they have confidence in what they orchestrate offensively, and I think they have confidence in filling needs. And even if they have to mold somebody, they will do that.
And I think they're better evaluators too of talent.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, listen, Jerry Reese, and this was definitely not a Jerry Reese conversation, but I could put a bow on it for you that, some people will say, oh, he inherited, the Accorsi team and so forth. I'm fine with it. I think Jerry Reese did a nice job, but after that Super Bowl, he just checked out and cashed a paycheck. And from 2012 to 2016, he literally did not create, bring in, sign, however you want to, you want to put it down on paper. Not one move that made the team better.
I agree.
He just flatlined that team for 4 straight years. All right. What's going on as far as what you hear, Brian? Like you're connected to basically the voice of the Giants fan because they're calling in all the time. They're connected to what the station does and your personalities and your on-air talent, including yourself. What are you hearing and feeling? Is there a theme behind the fan, or are they all over the place?
The theme behind the fan is that they're all over the place because let's be honest, Craig, Brian Rascona, Chris, the truth, do we really know what the draft is going to bring us? We don't know. We have no idea. We're sitting here, we're speculating as fans because we're trying to say, hey, look, we need to fill needs. We're fans, right? So even though we don't know, we still like, this is fun. Like, who are the Giants going to take, right? That's basically what it is. It's fun. The pulse from the Giant fan, though, is right now, sitting here today on April 24th, is what's going on with Saquon Barkley. And if Saquon planning on holding out for the rest of the year, is now a running back going to be into the fold here come this draft class? I'm not so sure that Saquon is in the right mind to hold out because he's 26, right? He's 26 years old. 26, 27.
27,
It doesn't make sense for him to hold out on a contract when next year and hold out and potentially not play, and then be a 27-year-old free agent in the NFL when the years for a running back only last till about 30, 31. So the pulse of the fan right now is what the heck's going on with Saquon Barkley, and how is Joe Schoen attacking it? Joe Schoen, you heard the other day, came out and said, I haven't really talked to Saquon. So there's a chance he might not even play this season. I don't see that happening. So that's the pulse of the fan. The fan right now, they want to know what's going on with Saquon Barkley. And then on top of it, the running back position, because we're not walking in with Brightwell and Breida. That's not going to happen. We can't do that. So
I think round 4 is a good round to go get a running back.
Round 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So on Thursday nights, Truth does a draft show every Thursday. It's over now, but we did it. Truth was live every Thursday, and they hit it pretty hard this past Thursdays on running backs, and there is some talent there. Truth, I will say this, like, again, not being an insider because I'm not, but I can tell you 2 things that stick out to me on the Saquon Barkley scenario. One is all week long. And I respect all the analysts and their takes and what they feel, is real or true, right? I'm cool with it. We all do the same thing, right? We're fans. But what I felt was a little off base was a handful of, analysts and media personalities saying how, now that Jones is paid, it's, ripping the locker room apart. And listen, just Monday, or let's see, so today's Monday, I think Friday or Thursday, video came out of Jones and Barkley playing basketball together, right? Like, they genuinely have a very close relationship, right? I mean, that is very apparent that they are friends off the field. And to me, that says a lot because, if a guy's getting paid and you feel uncomfortable with it, I don't think you would spend a whole lot of your off time with someone that maybe you weren't very happy with. And secondly, on Saturday, Brian, we were streaming live from the Isaiah Hodgins.
I watched it.
Yeah, and like normally we had a ton of technical difficulties because it was so windy. Like
I get it. I know.
You do this for a living. Like,
yep.
We had so much tech. Like it kept cutting my microphone off, and then it kept kicking me out. So we didn't really do an extensive interview with Hodgins like we did with Nick Gates or like we normally do. But I want to tell you this. One, he is awesome, right? He was great with the kids. But this is why I'm bringing it to come full circle to Barkley was at the end of the camp, he holds his phone up. They're all taking a picture. There's 100, kids around him, and they're going crazy. He's high-fiving, and he goes, oh, look who's calling. And Saquon FaceTimes in to the camp. And 100 kids go bonkers. Like, I mean, they started climbing up his back. They were trying to steal his phone. Like, it was so cool. And all I could think is that Saquon Barkley loves being a Giant. Like, yes, he takes crap from that 10% of the population that doesn't know any better. I think he loves being a Giant. I think he loves the franchise, what it stands for, and I think he probably got bad advice not taking the 13-5, in the beginning of the year. And listen, no one's ever going to say, yes, that's what happened. I think they're just going to work on a deal and get it done, and it's going to be fine. I think it's going to happen. I can't see him going anywhere. I think he wants to be here. And like you just said, timing-wise, at 27 years old, it's not the time to hold out.
Him and his agent are morons if they plan on holding out this season. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, just complete. I don't know who his agent is. I have no idea, but complete morons. It makes no sense. Just doesn't make any sense. So I do believe Saquon's going to wind up playing.
I think he's with Jay-Z. I think that's his rock.
Is that is it? Okay. I think
rock,
you are right.
Rock Nation. Rock Nation. Yeah.
And then you know what? He's going to wind up playing under the franchise tag. And if he has a bonkers year, then he could go walk and do whatever the heck he wants to do.
Yeah. And you know what, Brian? His agent didn't have the pulse of the whole running back market.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense.
You know what, Chris? I just think right now, like look what happened today. We're going to jump into this now, into the A'Shaun Robinson thing. Like he visited 4 weeks ago. Everyone thought it was dead, right? And here we go at 4 o'clock. We get, everything's binging and pinging that we signed, A'Shaun Robinson. I think the same thing happens with Saquon. It's more of it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Just, settle down. Let us get all our other ducks in a row. Saquon, we're giving you a 3-year deal for they'll probably give him, I hate to say it, but they're going to do right by him. He didn't want the 13-5. I don't think they play hardball. Maybe he gets 13-7-5. You know what I mean? Or maybe he gets 14 with incentives or something like that. But it's going to happen because we don't know what's happening. In fact, I was going to ask you, Brian, you got a bunch of ex-NFL players, on your staff there between Tiki and Boomer. Are any of these guys closer to the situation at all, or do they have a strong opinion either way?
Tiki is, but he's not going to. He doesn't reveal much unless it's unless he knows concrete for sure. Tiki definitely keeps in touch with Saquon. They talk. But as far as and it's another thing, Saquon's not gonna spill what he thinks, as far as what's going on negotiation wise. Boomer, on the other hand, does have a finger on the pulse with all of the NFL, more on a national level than he does just the Giants. But there's nothing that I can hand you that I know that Tiki may or may not have told me. So
all right,
sorry to bust your bubble there, but yeah,
I had to try.
No, I hear you.
Listen, I used to.
I had a pre-show meeting with Tiki last week, but all we were talking about was Mets. So,
okay.
And this is was it last week? It might have been 2 weeks ago. This was pre-Saquon, the Saquon news. So,
got it. Yeah. I used to work for your sister station, WIP.
Okay.
I worked, in Philly for 10 years. I worked for WIP.
Okay. So Spike then.
Of course, I knew.
Okay.
Spike. Yeah, so Spike started off as, late night DJ on WYSP, the rock station, then worked his way up to midday. Then he got on the programming side. Then he went sports. I know his dad very well.
Okay, well there you go.
Good
Eagles fans though. Eagles fans, yeah.
Yeah, Eagles fans. Well, again, WIP is all Eagles fans.
Yeah,
right?
No, I know.
But Spike's a great guy. Was always good to me. Really good guy. And like you said, there are always people chatting, in the studio about certain topics. Chris, you hit me real fast on the A'Shaun Robinson thing.
Yeah.
What's your take on signing the big guy?
Well, when you look back at the Eagle games and the rushing defense, whatever they were, 28th against the run, you could tell by Shane what his comments were after the season that it's something that has to be fixed. I mean, you can't go into the season with some rookies or hopes of a DJ Davidson coming off an injury to solidify the front there, or with a guy Mondo coming in. So I think when you look at A'Shaun Robinson, when you look at Roches, who was added, and you got Leo and Dex in the middle, I think that's a formidable front for a nice rotation to stop the run. Because let's face it, between the linebackers on the inside last year and that inside running game, Dex and Leo needed a breather, and you need guys that can come in there that can kind of do the similar type of job and stop that run. So I think Brian talked about it, giant football, right? It's stopping the run. I think that's the first priority on the list.
Truth. A'Shaun Robinson might have been the best player in the Super Bowl in 2021. Yeah. I mean, he was a beast, and he really helps, Aaron Donald be Aaron Donald. Some people right away, you know how Twitter works. Everybody's like, oh, this is the end of Leo. No. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 1-year deal. And I would assume that the way, like Chris just said, it's a piece of the puzzle to give the two big dogs a little bit of a break. Would you agree?
I totally agree. I mean, he's gonna take a little bit of snaps on each of those guys, make them more fresh. It's a long season. Totally agree. It has nothing to do with Leo. This is more to do with the Giants building up their run defense.
All right, cool.
And Craig, it's almost like, and guys, when you look back to those early Giant teams from like 2007, 2008, you had guys in the middle like a Rocky Bernard, and going back to 2000.
Jay Alford.
Yep. So those guys that are just get plug in there and just do the job.
Barry Cofield.
Right.
That's right.
Don't taser me, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
Best sack dance ever. Don't tase me, bro.
That was up there. That's a good one.
He was ahead of his time. Before tasing even got popular, he was ahead of his time.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, what we're talking about, just YouTube, don't tase me, bro, Barry Cofield sack dance, and you will see a grown man, 300 pounds, after a sack, tasering himself. Like it's quite comical. So,
I think part of it also was the fact that the Giants were on an historic Super Bowl run. I think that helps it out too. I mean, if the Giants were 4-12 and fell flat on their face, we would not care about the tase me, bro, sack dance.
No. Very well said, because I think at that point they could do no wrong. Right. So everyone was like, yeah, go ahead, do that.
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Right now, there'd be people outside like picketing their names. The Giants. There's something wrong with the organization. All right, so let's then look. Let's stay on the defensive line for a second, Brian. Robinson's going to get a deal. He's going to come in here, and basically lock.
The only thing I will say about the Leonard Williams stuff, next year, I believe it's next year. Is this his final year? Or is it next year? It's next year. Is his final year? Or is it this year?
I thought it was next year. I could be wrong.
I think it's next year, right? It's next year, because that makes sense. Because the Giants will suffer a $34 million cap hit if they keep Leonard Williams. So that's the only thing you got to consider in the back of your mind. Their cap hit on Leonard Williams is around $34 million for next season.
Yeah, and which actually kind of is a good segue. You're good at this. Is where does the money come from over the next 2 years? Dexter, what do you call Chris? Who got paid today? $94 million.
Last week you had Deron Payne and Jeffrey Simmons, so that kind of sets the market for Dexter.
So where does the money come from, Brian? If Dexter needs to get paid $94 million plus, and I know people don't like Gettleman for kicking the can down the road, but is Leonard and even potentially Adoree Jackson, are they candidates for restructure?
Absolutely. And if they want to keep the team intact, Leonard Williams now, he's no spring chicken anymore. If he wants to keep the team intact and hopefully have a shot at a Super Bowl, which it looks like the Giants are on this trajectory to finally get to an NFC championship, I think a restructure has to be in the cards. Otherwise, they got to let him walk. They have no other choice. I really don't. If they've got to pay Dexter Lawrence, they're going to have to pay McKinney at some point. These are guys that are draft picks that are going to have to get paid, and they're players that should get paid. If Dexter Lawrence comes out and has the same type of season he had last year, if not better, he's got to get paid. If Xavier McKinney could stay off a quad in Costa Rica or wherever the heck he was, and he could play to the way he was playing, to the caliber he played last year, he's got to get paid. So I think a restructure has to be in the cards. And Adoree Jackson's no spring chicken either. So if they want to stay in the game and stay in the competitive game, or they could go get shipped out to a team like the Raiders who are going to pay him, and not know which end is up, which is normal for that type of
I think that's what might happen.
Right. Well, that's what I mean, it's either one or the other for these guys. And I do think a restructure has to be in the cards. You look at the contract with Eli back in the day, he signed a huge contract, then he restructured. Strahan signed a huge contract, then he restructured. The guys that want to stay in with the team to see it out, basically, for lack of a better term, and try to win a Super Bowl, those guys that are stars that are going to make their money, a restructure, just backload the contracts and stay with the squad and go out there and try to win a Super Bowl.
I love it. Just a brief little housekeeping. Thursday and Friday, of course, is the NFL draft. I've gotten to the point where I'm calling the show Customer Appreciation Night. People want to know why I'm not going to the draft party as a season ticket holder. So the last 2 years, we've been broadcasting or streaming, live throughout the draft, Thursday night and Friday night. And I don't know, I got this brilliant idea. I don't know if it's brilliant or not, but I decided to give out 60, 70 links and bring on all the fans that support us all year. So just to kind of give you guys, and Brian's going to be part of it, Thursday, we'll be live from 7:30 right on through the pick. Okay. Might be a little bit late, 10:30, 11 o'clock. That's not normally what we do, but we're kind of, again, everyone that we're inviting gets like a 10 to 15-minute slot to talk about who they like, how the draft's going, what they saw, who drafted what. It's a reaction show. It gives, yes, it's everybody's 15 minutes of fame, but it's all fun. We've created some really good friends over the years by that 15 minutes of interaction with the fans. So Chris and I and Truth, we will be on Thursday night, and then Friday night, which will start at 6:30, will be Nikki Six and Damian and Danny. They'll be on Friday, and Spartan Mike will be on Friday. So stay tuned for your time slot. I'm still organizing 70 time slots. I'm almost done with these time slots and who can do what. I've been juggling you, so don't think I forgot any of you folks. I'm going to post it on the website in case you're new to Giants Rush, nygiantsrush.com. That holds all our interviews, from Kurt Warner to Bellinger. They're all up there. Plus, there's a lot of great articles and stuff like that. But the time slots will be up there. Or if you have any problems, just send me a DM and I'll send you your time. So we hope
that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Last year we did such a huge amount, Brian, of people hung with us, right, Chris? They hung with us for like 3 hours. Like they just kept coming in and out, and because everybody was like, "Oh, this guy got traded. Oh, who are we gonna? What's going on?" And it was a ton of fun. So draft days basically become the Rush family's customer appreciation night.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
And real quick, last year, Craig, Giants picked early, so there was kind of a buzzkill at the end, and because everything got buzzkill, but the Giants are at 25, so I think we'll be able to carry it, with some excitement throughout the end of the fourth round, which will be good.
Every time that somebody listen, I'm leaning on Banks, right? I'm hoping somehow that he becomes the guy, right? Yep. That's my guy. I've already told you. To me, he is Terrell Thomas. He is the same player as Terrell Thomas from USC, where we used to call him T2. And I don't know if he'll be there at 25, but I definitely could build some pressure as the show goes, as these guys get drafted. So that's the housekeeping. Wanted to get that out of the way. And lastly, don't forget, we're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're on Amazon Music, we're on Stitcher, whatever your podcast platform is, Apple Pods, we're there. I am a little behind on some of our interviews. I need to get up there, like Jack Anderson that we interviewed last week. And by the way, Brian,
great interview.
I'm sorry.
Great interview. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Because I was just going to say to you, we met him at the Gates camp. Really good dude, right? And I couldn't get over the fact how he told me, he's like, you heard it. He's like astonished that people don't realize that he can snap. He's already played center like a big boy at the Eagles, and played in some big games, for them, and then came in and snapped every day against Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, I just why not give? I mean, I'm sure the Giants are going to give him a shot at this training camp. I wouldn't see any reason why they wouldn't, instead of just plugging in Bredesen. Bredesen's been injured. I mean, for the last few years, we picked him up from the Ravens almost like a savior to save the offensive line a couple years back, and he was injured nonstop. So I don't see any reason why we can't take a look at him. If he could snap the football, why not? And I don't know how quick on his feet he is. I haven't seen a lot of Jack Anderson, so I can't really assess, his overall talent. But why not? I mean, why not? If he's snapping the football against Dexter Lawrence and in look squad O, right? I mean, you're gonna see just as good defensive tackles in the real game, when you take the field at the Meadowlands. So why not try to get him in there and try to snap the football? Try to broaden the versatility of this offensive line. And I think we should go and draft an offensive lineman in the later rounds. So another versatile guy who could play tackle, play guard, and if he plays center, that's a plus too.
So here's the interesting thing, and I think you'll appreciate this. Playing in the Eagles system, he actually pulled a lot, when he played center or guard. He's got really good footwork for a big dude. And that's what grabbed my attention, because the Eagles, they pull all the time. They pull this Kelsey pulls, they're pulling the guy who made the Pro Bowl this year, he was on like Masked Singer, their guard, big Hawaiian Polynesian dude.
Yeah. His name escapes me.
It'll come to me. But my point is that Jack Anderson has good enough feet to move because the Eagles just run that type of offense. So I was impressed with his footwork. And, it sounded like Lemieux and Anderson and Bredesen were going to get a chance. Doesn't mean they won't draft one, but it did seem like, he was going to get a chance there. All right.
Be good to see.
Yeah, Chris, perfect world. You get two choices. Mm-hmm. Who do you want the Giants to draft? Who are you leaning on? Not who's going to be there. Who do you want?
Realistically, right?
Yeah, like who do you want? Like, you got to weigh the option. Like, will they be there, around there? Like, you can't say you want,
Could be.
I mean, I think there's a lot of good receivers, but I don't know if they're worthy of first round. I mean, maybe at 25, but I mean, I'm still leaning the corner. I don't know. Maybe the kid Joey Port. I don't know.
Oh, his son?
Maybe Joey Porter Jr., Banks, Gonzalez, the other corner.
He said a couple. He said a couple, Chris.
I know. I don't know. My heart, Jack Campbell, the linebacker from Iowa, stole my. I love him, but I don't know at first round. But all right, so we'll say cornerback. I don't know. I'll go with the Joey Porter Jr. That would be who I'd like at corner.
Truth. If you had, you got to pick one or two here.
25.
Who do you want that's realistic?
Well, I said in my columns, he could be there. I don't think he will, but I would love to get Banks because I think he fits exactly what Wink likes to have in his corners. That's the guy I would love to see be available for the Giants.
Truth, I know you guys did a lot of work on the draft show. Is Banks more a zone guy or is he more a man guy?
No, from what I've read and watched, he does both.
Okay.
He's not perfect. Like not every single prospect's perfect, and especially at 25, you're not gonna get a perfect prospect. He has his faults, but he does play both zone and man-to-man.
Okay, because I get over analytical, and like when you look at Sauce Gardner, he's lean, right? And I look at Banks is like jacked, and so I kind of almost feel like he could play. He could play in the box, he could play zone. But can he run man-to-man because he's – and, again, it's just me in my head. Like,
no, I understand.
Does he have the frame? Does he have the body frame to play cover corner man-to-man?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
No, well, look, the films I watched of him, he did do well in that. And he does have the speed, as we know. What did he do, a 4.35 or something like that?
Yeah, he could fly.
So that's the guy I would love to see be available because I think corner is a very important position for them. Actually, I think they may draft two corners in this draft. It's a possibility. So,
all right, then, Brian, I'm going to make your job harder because you're the pro.
Okay.
We just do this, for fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I don't know. It's not always fun. So your task is drafting a wide receiver. All the corners are gone, and you're not going to draft a center at 25 because we also have done the research. There basically has been a corner drafted in the first round, something like 8 out of the last 15 years or something like that. So it's not far-fetched.
Okay.
But the task I'm giving you is you have to draft a wide receiver at 25. The question is, do you not like the receiver at 25 and do you move up? Because right now, Brian Rascona's only job as the GM is to draft a receiver. What are you going to do?
I'm going to wait to draft the receiver. I'm like I said earlier in the broadcast, guys, I'm going to focus in on the defensive side of the football. I believe it or not, and again, I'm the GM, so it's not, I'm not going to play this part of Joe Schoen, but I think in Joe Schoen's head right now, they went out and signed 2 wide receivers, Jamison Crowder and Paris Campbell. They have a ton of wide receivers right now. If you look at this Giants roster, now, are they this dynamic wide receiver? No, they still need a receiver to stretch the field. Don't forget, Colin Johnson also will be coming back, the big, tall kid who didn't get to play last year, who had a promising preseason. So I don't see the Giants now. I'm talking as Joe Schoen because I don't see them drafting a wide receiver. I don't see myself drafting a wide receiver. I know Zay Flowers could be there by the time the Giants pick. how many slot receivers are we going to have, though? Between Shepard, between Wan'Dale Robinson, between Jamison Crowder, Zay Flowers, he's not a big dude. He can bust out. I mean, he can really zip up and down the field. And then also I take into account that he played at BC. His level of competition wasn't as grand as what you would see in the top, the top SEC or Big Ten schools. I would shy away from a wide receiver. I wouldn't take a wide receiver in the first round. I would stick to the defensive side of the football. Like I said, safety or linebacker. That's where I would stick. And I mean, I would save the wide receiver for later. I would save the offensive lineman for later, and I would save a running back if need be for later. I still think they're going to take a running back this year as well. It just seems like the Giants always take a late round running back. I think they'll do it again.
All right, so let me run with that just for a second, then I'll let you guys jump in on it. Let's just say that we got 10 picks, right?
Yep.
Eagles and Dallas didn't get worse in the offseason. Yeah, the Eagles lost a couple guys.
They lost a few guys.
Yeah, they did lose a couple guys, but I don't know if it's as impactful as we'd all like to make it out to be.
I think Miles Sanders is an impactful loss.
Agreed. But again, the whole running back thing, like,
right.
Yeah, they may replace him with Robinson.
They could be.
Yes.
They could be. Yep.
Yes. So again, even if you don't want it, do you think the Giants would be like, you know what? We really need alpha, right? And I see Darius in here saying, a couple people saying, we need the alpha.
You need the Plaxico Burress. You need the guy who's going to stretch down the field and catch the jump ball. That's what you need.
Do they trade up to get him? Would it be on the radar to say, you know what, guys, we need to win 9 games this year. We got a harder schedule, and even though we drafted a bunch of fast wide receivers, they're not known for their 800 to 1,200 yard seasons. Do we move up?
They have the draft capital to do so with the 10 picks. They can if they want to. If they want to give up a couple of the picks later, they have 3 in the 7th round alone. If they want to do that, they have the capital to do so. If I'm Joe Shane and I want that big time receiver, whether it's the guy from Ohio State, Jackson Smith, or if it's with the kid from TCU, if he goes early, and he's the big guy that I would want if I was going to draft the receivers, the kid from TCU. Then I would think about it. I hate giving up draft capital, but you put me on the spot. If there's a wide receiver that I am into, me being Joe Shane, Brian Rascona, which I am not, I'm not into any receivers that are right there on the first round. If I am, I would make the trade. If I want that player, I'm a big advocate. If you like him, if you like the guy, or your scouts are telling you we need him and go get him, and you have the means to do it, you go and get him. I'm an advocate for that. I just personally don't like the wide receivers right now in the first round. And I don't think the top ones are going to drop to 25. So to your point, if you absolutely want that wide receiver, you could trade up and go and get him.
Chris, is this realistic to trade up and go get him? I know it's not very Giant-like, but it's a new regime, right? We've all said
new regime. I mean, you could see
really we like their style.
Right.
So do you think it's on the table at all?
Oh, I think everything's on the table for Shane. I think he's out for the best possible, pick they can have. You see that he keeps turning this roster, right? He's always turning. He's always working numbers and looking for the next, the next guy. I mean, just look at last year, how he just trying to find guys on the offensive line, receiver. So yeah, I think Shane just has a different mindset than some of the older, regime, going back to Reese and obviously Gettleman, but. Yeah, because Reese never really moved up, right? That wasn't his game either.
No.
So I think Shane brings a whole mindset, different.
Last time I remember them making a move, they moved up for Shockey. But I can't remember them moving up many spots for anybody in the last 10. I mean, no, I can't.
Keep in mind, though, the Giants also, this is another good little tidbit. Now, I could be out there. I could be totally out there with this. But if things go ugly with this Saquon thing, they can trade him.
Oh, boy. Here it comes.
Think about this, all right? Just for a second. Steph Diggs was crying at the end of last year up in Buffalo. He was with Daboll. He was with Shane. Buffalo has been talking about a running back. Saquon's always been in the talks with Buffalo. Yeah. Whenever you talk about Saquon getting traded, Buffalo is in the mix. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I could be totally off base with this. But it's another possibility to grab that dynamic receiver.
Dude.
That just blow your mind there.
Yeah, because I'm like, you're so right. Like when you hear about like the rumorville going, it is always Buffalo,
It's
right?
always Buffalo. Always.
It's always Buffalo.
Yeah. So I don't know I don't know if there's any truth to it. I know Steph was unhappy with Josh Allen towards the end of the year. You saw them yelling at each other on the sideline. Josh Allen threw a ton of picks last year, which was very uncharacteristic. I don't know if Saquon gets traded. Listen, you're not going to give away Saquon for nothing, right? You got to get something dynamic back. Now the Giants will have to give more because Saquon's only got the 1 year, but it's a thought.
You know, it's funny because I do really like Saquon and I want him here. But the thought of Diggs, I'm doing one of these things.
Right.
Yeah, you have to think about it. He's talented.
But the only thing with Diggs, he gave Kirk Cousins a problem. Then he was
Yes.
chirping last year. So, is he wearing out his welcome at these at these different spots?
That's a good rebuttal. Absolutely.
But
I'd love to know behind closed doors what he was complaining about anyway, because like he's never been so popular as he is right now with Josh Allen. Like, I at some point you got to be like, hey man, I'm in a good place. I don't want to blow this.
Yeah. Although he didn't complain when Dable was the OC, so maybe
Also keep in mind T. Higgins is going into the last year of his deal and he wants big money and the Bengals aren't going to be able to sign him. So in order to get some compensation back to Bengals, they might look to trade T. Higgins as well. So that's also out there as well. So
Dude,
but then will that reflect them not being able to sign Dexter if they get Higgins?
Well, that's another yes. Well, that's another thought. That's another wrinkle into the thought process.
Yeah.
I know, like, and it's interesting. All the content that gets created out there, they really paint Dable in this player's coach light. You know what I mean? Like, you see him at the draft. The combine, and he's like texting Dexter Lawrence, or he's talking to Jones. Like, he really comes across as a coach who likes his players and he's excited to have them. I think it would be like, I don't think Shane would go out and dish one of his guys. You know what I mean? Like, regardless if he drafted Dexter Lawrence or not, I just think Dable likes these personalities that he has as the leaders of the team. I can't see Dexter, anything they do jeopardizing bringing Dexter Lawrence back. You know what I mean?
Right now, no, not at all. And just to backtrack on the wide receivers, I think there's a lot of talent in the late second, third, and fourth rounds with these wide receivers in this draft. I think there's talent right there. Like, they don't have to get a wide receiver in rounds.
No, I see. I'm totally this guy. Like, I'm just this guy. Like, yes, you are right. But when you look at the body of work, it never turns out like, yeah, there's a whole ton of receivers in the third and fourth round. But when you look at the 1,800 players, in the league, and there's 100 wide receivers, there's only like 5 that come out of the fourth round. Like, I get it. Yes, they're talented, but they're always missing something. There's the outliers, right? There's the outlier, that got drafted in the fourth round and turned out to be like Chris Hogan, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, they're out there, but overall, truth, Campbell and who's the guy that got from the Jets? Smith, Jimmy Smith. Like, those guys are just as good as any fourth round, fifth round wide receiver that you draft.
Okay, let me just say this then. We talk about we need to get a wide receiver one. What makes you think that Shane is not thinking of Waller as his wide receiver one, even though he's a tight end? What makes you don't think that he's going to be his primary guy?
Be kind of hard for a guy that's that injury prone to be penciled in as your number one.
Well, if Shane thought that this guy's so injury prone, I'm not going to go after him, he wouldn't have made the trade. I think he feels confident that he will be able to give them more
as a tight end, not as your number one. I don't. That's me.
Well, when I say number one receiver, I mean you're going to see Waller doing. I think you're going to see the seam pass come back for the Giants. I think you'll see a few plays where Waller will do some verticals passes. We never see that in the last years for the Giants. So
Waller is definitely like Jimmy Graham. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think you saw the creativity that Kafka can have with the offense. A lot of pre-snap motion you saw last year, which he picked up from Andy Reid and his offense. I think if you instead of moving Bellinger down the line with misdirection, I think seeing Waller moving up and down the line is a little more scarier. And to your point, Truth, to possibly be that number one receiver for the Giants. I mean, I can totally see that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could bludgeon him to death, right? We could with 7 receivers all at 700 yards. Like, yeah, we could go that route. I'd love to have one guy at 1,200 and make me a whole lot happy.
You know, realistically, there may not be a guy out there in the draft in their rookie year who's going to do that, a wide receiver. We don't know.
I will say this: if you're going to draft a wide receiver and he's going to be a skill position and he's going to be potentially a wide receiver 1 and 2, can we get somebody that can return some kicks too on this team as well consistently? I mean, I think if you're going to get a wide receiver or running back late, get somebody who has some kick return experience. I need a bona fide kick returner on this team. We haven't had one in years.
Yeah, it's so true. Our special teams.
And you know what, Brian? That you're right, because that 5th or 6th receiver's got to contribute on special teams. Got to be able to return kicks.
Where's our Dominic Hickson? That's what I want to know. Where's the next Dominic Hickson?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. We interviewed him probably a year and a half ago. What a good dude. I don't know if you know this. So he owns a deep sea fishing company down in Florida called Super Bowl Fishing.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so like last summer when I went to the Outer Banks, I shot him a note. I said, anytime you want to bring the boat up the coast, I'm ready to go out. He's just a really good dude.
I'm sure I never met him, but I'm sure he is. I mean,
because like you said, he did. Plaxico goes down. He comes up with, he steps in.
He filled the void.
He did everything.
Yep.
He was just such a, utility guy. You're right. The Giants don't have that utility guy. I mean, maybe it could be Campbell. Maybe it could be Smith. Or a guy that we don't.
I think it's Crowder.
Yeah, Crowder. Yeah, we don't even know, right?
Right.
It could be any of these guys, right? All right, I got one for you, Chris, and then we wrap things up. So I'm sure Brian, you're on. You're on tonight, correct?
I'm on tonight, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. Yep, the overnight, the graveyard shift.
So any of you folks that stay up late, middle of the night, like I do, don't text me. Turn on your radio or hit your WFAN app. Brian's hosting tonight.
The free Odyssey app. There you go.
That's right. Because that's right.
I have to be real corporate about it. So the free Odyssey.
No. That's my bad. I forgot. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, it is the Odyssey app, and then you can listen to Brian. He's on tonight, 2 a.m. Now, is that something, Brian? You do that shift a lot?
I do. So about 2 years ago, when Spike took over, a lot of the part-timers are getting shots, to be on air, and I was one of them to thankfully get a shot, and it's been working out pretty nicely. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Not normally am I on overnights. I've done a lot of weekend days. I did actually the Sunday morning shift, 9 to 12 before the Giants playoff game against the Vikings. I think that was purposely done.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's basically wherever they want me to fill in, that's when they're having me fill in. So right now, one of the our evening guy, Keith McPherson, he just had a baby, so congratulations to him. He's out for a while. Sal Licata moves down, and then all the part-timers are starting to fill the overnight shifts. So that's what's going on right now.
When I was young, which was a long, long time ago, I used to listen to WFAN like crazy, right? I was a big fan. And at some point they shifted, and this isn't a complaint, I just observation, it became very heavy Jets and Mets. So it's good that I think from a business standpoint and just, makes it more fun when there's some Giant fans, that are part of the staff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're right. It was a lot of Jets Mets because way back when we used to have, the Mets. The Mets were on 660, So it was a lot of Met fans there. Now it's drastically changed. Now there's fans of all kinds of teams now. You got McPherson, who's a Cowboys fan, and a Yankees fan.
Gio's like a Vikings fan.
Gio's a Vikings fan. I went to high school with Gio, so we were in the same grade. So I've known Giannotti since I was in like 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
and
cool.
then Licata's a Falcons fan, so it's kind of a mixed bag. So right now it's a good regime with as far as the fan base goes for hosts over there at the Fan.
Yeah, because like I said, for a while there, I was like, man, they just talk Jets and Mets all the time. I was like, let's get some Giant talk on it because because Francesa was big Yankees, so which is great. I'm still a Yankee fan. I know Truth is a Met fan. So and then once in a while I do some connecting with Lori. She's always been really good to us, so we chat with her a little bit.
She's been 15 years in running doing that Sunday night shift for Lori Robinson. So
wow. So she's been really good to us. So we're glad that you're there, and whatever we can, like I say, anytime we can get you on, it'd be great. Chris, I got one.
Just shoot me a shout out, Twitter or text or whatever. You have my number now, and as long as it works in my schedule, I'm in. I love it. So
no, 100%. Like you said, like we try to do as much as we can. And we are known for our interviews. Like that's what we do. And like we could even talk off here. I can't figure out. And truth, Brian, you guys and Chris, you guys have been with me for a while. The last 4 or 5 years, I've interviewed some great players, and I rotate the team. I got like 6 people, and I rotate them. And we interview great guys, and I can never figure out like how to get it out there more often, like that we're interviewing these folks. We always get some really good stories. I will say, maybe because we're small, but we get some really good stories. So we've done some good things, and I appreciate the fact that some Giants fans in the staff there at FAN. Chris, I want to send this to you real quick before we wrap it up. I don't really think the Giants would go defensive end or pass rusher in the first round. Tell me a little bit about Ojulari's brother. Do you have any like feeling on him being something that like would he like where does he fit?
I don't know much about him. The truth could probably fill it in, but I heard he doesn't have the bend like Aziz does. I heard he's not as, I want to say, athletic as Aziz, so he's not the same. Like I know we're dealing with injuries with Aziz, but from what I've heard and seen some clips, I mean, I don't even want to go by the clips of what I've heard from guys like Truth that follow this all the time. That he's not another Aziz when healthy. Like when Aziz is at his top game and shows it, he's a little step down. Am I right?
He's a notch or two below his brother. Yes, that's
is he a first round pick?
True. Well, I see a lot of people saying that he could be a late first round. I just think we're going to see certain positions get a lot of attention in the first round, which will push other positions back, which will be his position. I think he's an early second rounder.
Okay, so let's wrap it up with this, Brian. Who do you want then at 57? Who do you want like a second round? Because like,
and then 89 and 120.
No, just the first 2 picks are always to me like last year we drafted Wan'Dale Robinson, and to me that was like the worst.
That was classic, Brian. You should have heard when that draft came on live.
Oh, what when Wan'Dale Robinson was announced?
Oh yeah, Craig was on the air when that pick came in.
Brian, for 3 days, Craig's finding all the 5'8" receivers weighing 170 pounds and how successful and how long they lasted in the NFL.
They're all bust. 6 guys in the history of the NFL.
Well, wait. I don't think you could call Wan'Dale Robinson a bust right now.
No. I'm saying I had to go do the research, and they don't make it. They have 3-year careers. They're special outside of Lockett and Tyreek Hill. 5'8", 170-pound receivers don't make it in the NFL past being a returner and a 3-year career. And what do? We draft one in the second round.
I mean, from the minimal time you saw Wan'Dale Robinson last year, he did look pretty good.
I agree with
that. I agree.
I'm not knocking him as a talent or a player or anything. I just don't see it as a second round pick.
Okay, no, that's fine, and that's you're entitled. Hey, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I think with 57, I think you need to go with an offensive lineman at that point. I want riches at the offensive line. I want to be able to move guys in and out. As it's injuries left and right. I think big depth offensive line wise is what you need. I'm looking at guys like Donovan Jackson maybe in the second round. That could be a little too early for a guy like him out of Ohio State. Also, I don't think the center, refresh my memory on his name, the center from Wisconsin, I don't think he'll be around there.
Whippler?
Tippmann.
Tippmann.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be around, although I do like him as well. There's one offensive lineman I do like, and just because of the versatility reasons, Nick Broker from Ole Miss. He plays interior, plays outside. He can move. He's experienced. He's been there before. He played center too as well. I think he's a later though pick. I think he's more towards the 5th and the 4th and 5th round. But I would go offensive line right now. I mean, off the top of my head, you're shooting at me number 57. Give me Donovan Jackson. I don't know what his projection is, but I mean that could be a stretch because it looks like he's probably going to be taken in the second round. So I would go offensive line.
Love it. Oh, that's Brian Rascona from WFAN with the sneak peek into like 2 rounds of the draft. But guess what? he's going to be with us on draft night. And 70 other of you nut jobs are going to be with us on draft night.
So am I getting a time slot? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a time slot. In fact, I wasn't supposed to let the cat out.
Craig doesn't even let me check the schedule. He's like, "You're coming on Thursday night."
Brian, time slot. You're on for 5 hours.
Yeah, well, because
you want to co-host?
I was trying to get him on, and then he's like, "Wait, you want me for a time slot or the whole show?" I'm like, "No, I want you for the whole show and the time slot."
Brian, me and Truth have to use the bathroom at least a couple times.
I'm down for it, guys. Whatever you guys need.
Oh man,
we're in the business. We can't have dead air.
I had a lot of fun time. I could talk until forget it. My wife.
No, I love it, guys. Listen, for you late night freaks, or maybe you live in a different part of the country, because we do have two toes in Italy, and we've got Mark is in the Caribbean. We got people all over the place. Brian's on tonight, 2 a.m. He quote unquote graveyard shift. Check it out. He might be talking some Giants. What are you talking about tonight?
Everything's on the table tonight. I mean, look what happened today with the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. That's on the table. You got the Mets and the Yankees.
Great trade.
Yankees are going on right now. And you know what's great about that trade, too, is that there's a compensatory pick in 2024, but the Jets can't really get hurt by it, because if Aaron Rodgers plays over 65% of the plays, right, then they get the number 1 pick, the Packers. If he plays under 65% of the plays, they get the second round pick. Right. So basically the Jets are saying, well, if he plays over the 65%, we're obviously going to be doing pretty well, I would think, right? So you're going to get here, congratulations, Packers. You're going to get pick number 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, because you would have to think with the way that roster is constructed, unless something happens, unless a bomb hits the Meadowlands, I think the Jets are going to be a pretty good team this year.
Yep.
So I think it was a great move from Douglas. And listen, we knew it was going to happen, but I think what they gave up and the way they structured it was great for the Jets. I really do.
Real quick, Brian. I'm sorry, real quick. Does that put now Douglas in position to trade Wilson now, maybe on draft night or just before the draft, to get another pick somewhere?
I mean, you would think that Zach Wilson's going to request it eventually. He's going to still think he's a starting quarterback somewhere. He's going to want to prove himself. So you would think it's just a matter of time before he's out of here. I would. Yeah. And then, the Jets could fill the backup role with somebody coming later on in free agency. But once the dust settles after the draft, which also this move that the Giants made today for the defensive tackle surprises me a little bit, because a lot of teams, once the draft is, draft week, they're all locked into their war rooms. It's a little odd to me that Shane went out and signed a free agent today, the week of the draft. You don't normally see that in the NFL.
Makes you wonder.
Right? It makes me wonder.
Yeah. Two things. One, the best news of the day actually is that the Rangers just tied the game.
I saw that. I just saw
that. So that's the most important thing. The second thing is this, and this is kind of a thing that we always neglect to talk about, is, Brian, this deal could have been done 4 weeks ago, and it was like, hey, we're going to announce this. Like, the business part of it could have been done 4 weeks ago, right, Chris? Right. We talked about it.
That's true.
They could have done, like they said, don't let him out of the building. It could have been done 4 weeks ago. And he's like, look, I've got all this over here to take care of the next 3 weeks. And it's just formality. You're done. You're off the table. Here's your deal. So it looks weird, but it could have been done weeks ago.
That's true. Could have been done in principle and just announced today. Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I doubt they have time, like you mentioned, with everything going on 4 days from now.
Right.
I doubt this was something that just happened today.
Right.
You know?
I mean, the Aaron Rodgers thing you knew had to happen today because the draft picks were involved. So you knew it had to happen this week. But that I just thought it was a little weird. But that makes sense if it was done in principle and then they just finalized it today. Or whatever.
Because again, this is their second year, doing this. They probably already know, holy shit, we don't want to be doing anything different but draft the week of, So this thing was probably done, and it was just a formality. Like, hey, we're going to sign this on the 24th. It'll break up the draft talk around here. So just
it could have been a physical.
Think about. What's
that, Chris? Physical. I'm just thinking maybe it was a physical, right? I mean, maybe he had to get his medicals done. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, he could have been on vacation for all we know.
Right.
So anyway, thanks for watching another episode of NY Giants Rush, nygiantsrush.com, Instagram, Twitter, all the socials, we're on there. This will be live on all your podcast platforms. So if you're walking the dog or you're on the treadmill, check us out. All the interviews are all up there on YouTube. And Tuto asked me if Brian was on YouTube. Brian, do you do anything on YouTube at all?
Not yet. No, I do not. Nope.
All right. Well, Tuto, maybe he'll just be part of the Giants rush, and you can get him on YouTube through us.
There you go.
Who knows? Who knows?
Or listen tonight on the free Odyssey app.
Or listen tonight on the free Odyssey app, because you're in Italy and and you're up because it's 2 a.m. there. Right. So why go to bed, Tuto? Just listen to Brian in a couple hours.
Ciao.
But thanks for hanging out with us, Brian. Definitely we'll do some more stuff, and we'll definitely be reconnecting with you. Especially we're going to see you in 3 days on the draft show. So
guys, I really had a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Nice finally talking to you, meeting you guys. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
100%. Same here. 100%, guys. Truth. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thursday, draft show. Catch it here. Rush Twitter and Rush YouTube. Peace out.